We are. We're live.
Hello,
Okay.
witches.
Hey, witches.
Good evening.
Okay, so it's Kat and Jamie from the New Witch Academy of Modern Magic back for another round of A Witch Reacts. We're on episode 5.
This is our summer series while we take a break from our regular series.
Our regular
programming.
This is so that we can have a nice, easy meetup or information session with you guys, and we don't have to work super hard and edit videos. The live is on and it goes, and it's easy work. So here we are.
Well, and Jamie's been living her best life this week, so she forgot to post this everywhere. So we might have.
I forgot to remind people.
She forgot to let people know that we were going to be here, or remind them we're going to be here.
Yeah.
We had great attendance last week. Thank you for all of you who came out.
Yes.
And remember, we're here every Thursday. So even if you don't get an announcement,
13 weeks.
You can come. Yeah, every
and
Thursday
we're on
for 13
5.
weeks. So
yes.
Hi, Selena. Welcome back, love.
Hey. Yeah, so I'll be sure to post this out. So if you're seeing this as a recording, I'm sorry that I didn't tell everybody. I forgot. My bad. So last week I started with the questions, and this week Kat is going to start with her question. But you guys, before we even came on the live, she loaded it up going, now listen, I'm going to say a word and you might giggle or it might be uncomfortable or something. So I have no idea what she's about to ask me. And I feel like I'm already blushing or something. Like, don't know what it's going to be yet. Hey, Tracy.
Okay. So you guys know that we look for questions that we find online from different groups that we're in and stuff like that. And sometimes I just wonder where these ideas come from. And here's one.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm not, but I have to be. Don't worry. It's only live to the entire world right now. It's totally fine.
All right. So the question is,
Okay.
I'm wondering if I can, not me, but
she's
can
relaying.
you charge your crystals with orgasms? That's the question.
Yeah.
So
that is a question.
So can you use the energy? Because my gosh, there's a lot there, right?
Okay.
But I'm gonna let Jamie answer this because
all right, you guys should see the pictures flowing through my mind of exactly what that looks like.
How that would work
to charge crystals with an orgasm. Okay.
Well,
I've seen some crystal wands, and people have funny asked me, do people use that as a dildo? Do people stick that in places? I'm like, I don't know. And I hope not. And it might not be I'm not sure what doctor you go to and be like, hey doc, is it all right if I put an amethyst right in my hoo-ha? Just curious. Can I get anything from that? I don't know. And I'm not a doctor, but I would suggest that things should not go inside of you. For the biggest reason, maybe they get lost, or you have to go to the doctor and explain in the ER why you have an amethyst in your butt. I don't know. I can just see so many things going wrong with this. Okay, so bringing it back to maybe something normal, where they mean they have their crystals next to them while they're orgasming, whether it's with a partner or by themselves. Sure, if you're thinking about it, or if you're wearing it, maybe, or the intention is set to fill the space with an energy. Crystals hold on to energy, and an orgasm is a type of energy. It's a climax of energy. But when we're in that space, can you keep a clear thought of what you want it to absorb? Or do you just want to have a crystal and you're like, this is my orgasm crystal? Number one, I don't know what the function of that is, but that's okay. I don't need to know. Can you do it? Sure. You can put any energy into a crystal. And please don't stick things inside yourself. That's my public service announcement for Witchcraft tonight. Yes.
Okay, so it's my turn. It's my turn to answer the question of, can you charge your crystals with an orgasm? I guess. Okay, so first of all, I just want you to know I'm back in 6th grade when the first time I heard this word, because I'm giggling about. Yeah, this is so funny. This is like sex education. I'm like, when they pulled out the banana and showed you how to put a condom on it or something. I guess my
say what you really want to say, because I know she wants to be like WTF.
Well, yeah, I'm like, why would you want to?
Right. Okay. So there's our initial shock.
That's my first thought is, why would you want to?
Okay.
And I guess if you want that to be part of your practice and that's something that you're into, I mean, people use their moon blood for spells. So, you could use other things in your body or that are part of your body.
In your body? Because again, we're not promoting sticking things in your body. I'm just saying that.
She doesn't say that though. And I'm assuming it's a she. I actually don't know because but the post was anonymous. Imagine that. But
they don't want anybody to know about their kinks right now.
But someone actually replied that they have crystals that are phallic shaped, so you could actually insert it without worrying about losing it if that's what you wanted to do. But I agree with Jamie, when you're charging something, you have to be able to maintain your thoughts
clear. So it's a clear intention.
Your clear intention. So you're charging the crystal with a purpose. When you're charging crystals, you're giving them a purpose. That's the purpose of charging crystals, is to give them a purpose, right? You don't just like put them under the moon and then they don't know what their job is because you haven't given them a job. So you need to give them a job. So what is the job of the charged crystal that you charged with your orgasm, however you did that? I guess that would be my first question. And trying to think that through. I mean, an orgasm is release, it's relaxation, it's, the warm and fuzzies. It's like, oh, damn, now I'm going to get up and clean the house because I feel so good. Or if you're a guy, on the other hand, it's like, I'm taking a nap. So, so it just depends on who it is. And I would say you can pretty much do in witchcraft within the bounds of anything that's legal or illegal or safe or, involves someone else. What you want to do, you can make your practice what you want your practice to be.
Yes.
I can't imagine you talking about that around your witches circle, but I don't know.
There are definitely witches who use, like in sex magic, there are things that happen. So I'm not a practitioner of that. I'm not going to try to speak on those things. There are books written about it, and there are definitely groups out there.
That's tantric sex, right?
Yeah, that would be using the non-Western side of that. But yes, there are lots of practices, especially for people who have had sexual abuse. Sometimes it is really hard to find pleasure in your body when your body has been abused sexually anyway. So there are ways that this can become a healing method as well. I don't want to shut that out. But it's something that you really need to find other people who have had experiences with that. I don't think that Kat and I are the best people to talk about it. I'm just going to say, if there was a yes or no answer to this, yes, you can charge a crystal with an orgasm. How you go about it, who you go about it with, the purpose that you give it, it's going to be all very individual to you. And that's because our practices are so very individual to ourselves. So go forth, experiment, be safe, keep other people's privacy and things in mind. And then, what makes you happy? All right. Is that the end of the question? Because I feel like it's loaded. So like there's a second part.
But that song, if you're happy when you want, that song came into my mind when she said that. I was like, I don't know.
I was about to say, if you're happy, clap your hands. You had a much better updated version of that. All right.
You went right back to childhood.
I did. I sure did.
All right. I just want to stop really quick while we're in between questions to say hi, Jenny, Tracy, and Selena. Yes. Thank you for being with us here tonight.
You guys remembered without us posting anything. We really appreciate it. That was my job that I failed at. Okay, my question for you is so much easier.
Oh, good. Okay.
It won't be next week. I'm going to search the internet for some crazy stuff. Now it's a goal of who can top who, I think. Okay, so I feel like this is probably a really common one. And some of the reasons why people come to the spiritual or the witchcraft practice is they've had something really big happen in their life, and then they've made a move. They've changed stuff. And even when we move states away from somebody, that doesn't mean that your move instantly washes away all the things that were done. Sometimes you need extra stuff, right? So this person's question was, what spell or ritual, because it could be either, and we don't usually list out spells, but what spell or ritual would you suggest somebody doing to reset or rebalance? I liked that better, rebalance themselves after going through a lot. And now they're in the clear where they can do whatever they want, but what do you think rebalancing yourself using witchcraft looks like?
Well, what I think about is that whenever we're using crystals or other magical tools, we're trying to create a balance. We're trying to get back to that place of where we're not up or down, but we're here. So there's a name for that. And there's a science name for it, but I can't think of what it is.
Okay.
So that's the first thing that I think about is
Tank is growling.
If you hear the growling, it's Tank. He's supposed to be in the bedroom, but he snuck out.
He's sleeping.
So let's see the question. So that's what I think of when I think we're always, I don't want to say always, but a lot of times what we're trying to do when we are doing spells.
You want me to get him?
Please. Okay. A lot of times what we're trying to do when we're doing spells or we're doing rituals or we're using crystals or any of these things, any of these witchcraft witchcraft tools. We're trying to get back to a place of peace and a place of balance. That's the purpose of it. So things are out of whack, either up or down, and we're using witchcraft tools in some kind of way to create balance in our life. It's like that's why we go out in nature. That's why we meditate, because we're trying to get back to a neutral place where we're not here or here like a teeter-totter. So that's the first question. But I actually thought the way the question started that it was written for me, because so this sounds like after a move, was this like ending a relationship and moving?
She didn't specify whether it was a relationship or what, but it was like lots of stuff happened. She got away from the situation, and now it felt like she was alone now, and she's ready to do the work. Where does she start? Where does that rebalance reset button start?
Yeah. So I'll tell you from personal experience, because I moved to Florida to get away from like a 20-year toxic relationship, and not just that relationship, but then I had kind of surrounded myself with other people who were just toxic environment. It became a toxic environment where really the only thing in my life that was good was the job that I went to. So I focused on all that. I had to move myself 1,000 miles away from that because I couldn't break free of it. So I'm imagining that this person was in a similar situation, perhaps, and they had to make a major move and pick up roots and just go start fresh, because things where they were just, they weren't going to get resolved there. Yeah. Sometimes situations are so bad that we can't, there's not any fixing. You have to leave them and grow. And so for me, it took time. And I say with any situation like this, where you have a major upheaval in your life, I would say to give yourself grace and be kind to yourself and loving to yourself. And if you find yourself saying things like, God, I'm so stupid, I can't believe I wasted that many years. I said that to myself. Like, I can't believe I wasted 15 years with this guy. What a waste of time, money, everything, resources, all that stuff. Then that's the kind of thing that you want to try to rein in and find a mantra that you can say that's more positive, because those experiences were a learning experience for you. And now you have left that and you made that first step to a new life. But you're not going to be able to get on with your new life if you focus on the mistakes that you made in your previous iteration of your life.
If you're looking back, if you keep looking back, you're going to live back.
Yeah. There. So I don't know if that answers the question, but it felt a little personal in the beginning, and I know it wasn't, but I just felt like, oh shit, that's me, making a huge move, like changing my whole life, selling my house, getting rid of all my stuff except for what could fit in a small U-box or something and I sold everything and I left in a hurry. I made the decision. In March, and I was here in Florida at the end of July. Yeah. That was 2019. It went fast. And, I had been stuck. I'd been really stuck in that place for such a long time and very unhappy and doing a lot of things that were not good for my health and both mental and physical. So give yourself grace. Yeah. It takes time. And say, when I say give yourself grace, it's like create mantras for yourself where you are speaking positively about yourself, about what you've learned. And even if you're not there yet because you don't know what you learned, you will in time. Journaling is really good during this time when you're just feeling like, I was really lost and I still loved I was going to say dumbass. I still loved him when I got here, and that it took a long time for me to get over that, and it was a process. And so I think these big life changes are processes. And
no matter what kind of hurt or upheaval thing that you have, the loss of people, your whole life plan changes because you never got married or you never had kids, and all the expectations that we set for ourselves, and then that's gone, whether by our choice or somebody else's. When you decide that you're going to move on and hit that reset button and what that looks like, for me, I just cried a lot. I gave myself the grace to cry whenever I wanted, to be sad about that loss and be like, okay, but I can do new things now. I can set new goals. I can look towards a new future. What else do I want out of life? Because it couldn't have just been that past. I can see other bright and shiny objects in my future that I could start moving towards. And that's how I focused. I allowed the days when I would be like really sad and sit in my house all day and just be bummed out. I did puzzles and ate popcorn and watched Netflix. That's all I did sometimes for an entire day. I would lose track of what time it was even. And that was how I grieved the loss of my dad, because my whole life was centered around that relationship. And when he died unexpectedly, I was like, now what? I don't have a backup plan. I have no idea what I'm doing. So allowing myself to cry, talk to people about it, not feel ashamed that, I had to make that big change. It took me about 1.5 years to truly find a new plan. And it took me meeting new people. It took me getting outside of my house, like actually experiencing life away from my little safe bubble where I could sit in my grief and be alone. I had to start meeting people. That's how I pulled myself out of. So my reset, but everybody's reset button probably looks different, but whatever it is, it's like find something good in your future to look forward to. Look at your past, give yourself time to grieve over it, and not beat yourself up too much about the mistakes, but then just keep moving forward and go like every day is another day. I'm here surviving that mistake, surviving that past, whatever I did. And I can move towards a new goal, future, friends, job, relationship, pet, whatever it is. So setting the reset button spiritually after a big thing, I guess.
And for me, it's how I found witchcraft. So that's true. That was unintended.
She came in here and I got her in my witchy little hands.
Well, I was around my kids, for the first time in like 20 years or something. So
like really close,
really beautiful.
Yeah.
But it was work, and it was at times not fun and sad and like tears and
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
so
great.
this question, the next question.
Your next question. Okay.
The next question is actually very close to what we've just been talking about, because I think when we think of big moves and losses, especially as women, we think of romantic partnerships that end, or even family stuff, because we're nurturers, and that's where we put our heart and soul into those things, and when we sacrifice a lot and we neglect ourselves to do things for other people, and then when that situation ends, we're left feeling like we either got cheated or we were stupid. So the next question is, how do you lose the romantic feelings that you have for someone and let them go?
How do you lose romantic feelings for someone and let them go? Okay. I'm trying to imagine the situation. So
and let me
you don't have to read the whole thing, but
I was just going to look and see if there was any more information.
When we get romantic, first off, I want to talk about the feelings that we get when we meet people and how we let that linger, or how we play things in our own mind, how we can build ourselves up when there isn't anything there, especially if it's not reciprocated. Having a crush is like that. It's the schoolyard crush thing, where you see somebody from a distance and you see this outside persona that you fall in love with because that's all you see, but you have no idea what they're like in other situations. So we can really become infatuated with people, and we can have them living in our heads as that perfect ideal person. And then the more that we get to know them, we're like, you're not the person I want you to be. So let me try to change you. And they're like, I don't want to change. I want to be exactly who I am. It's your fault that you thought I was better than I am, or somebody else other than I am. And now we're left with those feelings of like, I want to not like them anymore. Like, I want to let this go. How can I move on to something else? And so letting those romantic feelings go. This is more psychological than it really is witchcraft, probably. But the trick to this is to understand all the ways that this person is not good for you. Number one at the top of that list is like, they don't like you back. The feelings are not reciprocated. Number two, they're not good for you. They're not going to grow you and help you. They don't want to support you. They don't want to be there for you. List those things. So every time you think about them and you're like, oh gosh, I really was in love with them or infatuated with them, here's all the reasons why that's not great. That's like trying to fall in love with a movie star. We fall in love with the characters they play in movies. We have no idea who Leonardo DiCaprio is behind closed doors. Like, you have no idea what his personality is like, because he's played thousands of different roles. He's been a villain, a hero, a person who is, slow. Like, there's all the roles that he's played, and none of them are truly who Leonardo DiCaprio is. So when you fall in love with that false image, you have to now talk yourself out of it. So it's really more about the mental switch than it is about like spell work or doing anything. And this is where we always use mantras or affirmations to say, that situation's not healthy for me. I'm going to turn to something else that I really like or love. Find something else to focus on. Again, this is looking back versus looking towards the future and finding something that is ahead of you, that is shiny and bright and good for you, and working towards that. And I'm not saying focus on another person either, because don't fill that space with somebody else that might not fit for you. Fall in love with something about yourself, or something that you want to work towards or do.
Well, I think that's really important, what you said about not filling that space with someone else, because what you're doing in that situation is you're trying to avoid the pain and you
or loneliness
or pain or loneliness or whatever. Just and that that never works for very long. And it's really unfair to the person that you're just trying to start up a relationship with. That's what that's what rebound romances are. And most of those don't end well for both. So sorry. I thought I turned it off. Ooh. Oh, but there was another little part of this question in parentheses. So this person wanted to lose romantic feelings and let them go. A bonus if they could dislike them. So what that tells me there, and I'm sorry I didn't let you answer that. And
okay.
If you want to comment on that,
I think most people can figure out what's going on with that.
I think it's it would be much easier if we didn't like them anymore, right? Because then there wouldn't be the feelings of loss and the feelings of I invested this much time and I had the hopes of this future, my whole dream. I mean, I had a dream of marrying the guy that I was with. I thought we were going to marry. We talked about that. I thought that was my future. We would grow old together. We'd live in our retirement. We'd do these things. And then I realized that it was never going to happen because he wasn't about that. That's not the life he's ever going to live, not just with me, with anybody.
Yeah.
So, if you can dislike them, well, what do you have to say about that?
Well, because the reason we want to dislike them is so it's easier not to like them, right? We want to find things about them. Well, and I think she said for him to dislike her. Is that what she said?
Bonus to dislike them is all it says.
Oh, okay. Trying to dislike somebody is so we can find reasons to not want to be with them or think that they're our person. And that's why I was saying, find the reasons why this relationship is not good for you. List them out on a piece of paper, put them in a phone recording. Every day, set an alarm in your phone every day at noon while you're on your lunch break. You're going to look at that list and be like, here's the 10 reasons why I don't like Johnny. Here's the 10 reasons why Johnny and I don't work out. Here's the 10 reasons why, Johnny is no good for me. Here's the 10 reasons why I need somebody new in my life who uplifts me, cares about me, wants to hear my thoughts and opinions, looks forward to a future.
And the tragedy of all of this is that, like me, you're probably going to go back a couple of times and thinking that, that the person's going to, the person calls up and it's like those feelings are still there. And then you start talking about the good times, what it was like before. And and you start thinking about maybe this could be different. Maybe because I'm here and we're not there, we could have this whole different life than what we were going to have there. Yeah, no. So the distance really helped.
Yeah.
Distance helped me
because you couldn't go back easily.
No, because it was too hard to go back, and then to get him here, it was 1,000 miles away. It wasn't doable. It wasn't easily doable, especially with all of the complications in his life. And so distance helps, but sometimes we don't always have the option of distance. So I think surrounding yourself with other people and just realizing that it's going to be a journey of getting to the point where you're able to let go. There's not a spell. There's not a ritual.
A ritual. See, spell I didn't want to hit on because that's naming things out and what to do. You can find correlations for things like, redirecting your thoughts and attention. But for a ritual could be as simple as sitting down with a cup of certain tea or just in a grassy knoll somewhere, and you're thinking about or repeating to yourself the 10 reasons why this relationship is not good for you and why you should continue to stay away from it. That's a ritual. Anything that we do as a habit over and over again is a ritual. It doesn't have to be super witchy with candles and crystals and a whole layout, but a ritual is anything that you practice on daily, weekly, whatever. That's what a ritual is. So easier to set up for yourself. And then if it's something that you're trying to let go of, I would always replace that with something that you're working towards for yourself. That's why I say don't fill that hole with another person, but fill that hole with something that you do really want for yourself. Yeah. Maybe you want to learn a second language. Maybe you want to figure out how you're going to take a trip to, Paris or something.
Yeah.
Do something else. So find another thing to attract you to.
I remember a movie with Dakota Johnson, and she was with a guy, and they were it was a tangled mess, a toxic relationship. And she finally let him go. And they finally split for the last time. They went round and round. I can't remember the movie now, but she needed him to zip her dress because she couldn't zip her dress in the back because that's how it is.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so in the end of the movie, what she did, she'd always wanted to hike the Grand Canyon, and so once she finally was accepted that this was never going to work out, she started training, with a Stairmaster and a backpack. To hike the Grand Canyon. Yeah. And then she even made the little thing so she could hook the zipper and zip up her own dress. So she became self-reliant. And that's, one of the things that women People.
Because I've seen men do it too.
Yeah.
You get comfortable in a place, but it's not good for you. And you're like, but what does it look like outside of here? It might be worse. And that fear keeps you stuck in those situations because the outside seems a lot scarier than your known hell. If anybody's seen the very famous thing, like your brain would rather return to a known hell than experience a new good thing. Like
that is true.
It's because
it's familiar.
Of the brain, right?
It's why we recreate childhood traumas in our life as adults because we're used to that. We're comfortable with that drama. Mm-hmm. And so we know how to respond, react. We find partners that have that same that give us that same feeling. It's hard. It takes work, but you can do it.
You can do it. Recognizing it.
All right. So that was our 4 questions.
No,
you have one.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
She went on. We have 5 minutes to do my question. I don't even.
We have 5 minutes. Okay.
Oh, well, this is easy. this is great though. Okay. Oh yes. I didn't choose a hard one for this.
Okay, good.
Okay. And this is great for you because you are a newer witch. You've been practicing about 4 years. And so this is good. How do you get rid of the fear around doing your first spell? And she added a second thing was like, could she create bad karma from a spell, like with her first spell? Because I think she's afraid of just doing something wrong, which we talk a lot about in the Beginner Witch series, is having that fear of doing something wrong and why we have that. But how does she eliminate the fear around doing her first spell? And could it create bad karma for her?
Well, I don't think you can create bad karma for yourself, first of all. Karma is, I believe anyway, that karmas are the lessons that you're here to learn in this lifetime. So that's one thing. But to even just create anything like an environment,
like a negative
energy, or anything else around yourself, I don't think so. Because if you think about it, like all we're doing is, okay, so think about a spell. And I know this is somebody new, but spell work is, and you don't have to do anything, but you pull some things together like a candle, a crystal, a tarot deck, or something, and you sit and meditate with that in a quiet space, and you think about the future that you want. What is it in that spell that you want to change? What do you try to bring into your life or get rid of in your life? And that's what your focus is. So you're thinking like, my new job is, I make this amount of money and I have this kind of responsibilities and I have health insurance and I don't have to worry anymore. And try to keep it positive. So you're thinking about the thing that you want. So I don't know how that could ever turn into a negative, but I do have to say, as a newer witch, because I remember my trepidation with doing my very first spell, and I had my daughter, thank goodness, like to help me. And we sat out on my back porch and she's like, okay, we're just going to do this intuitively. So here's
no book, no
nothing. No, we're not going to look up a spell, but she's like, I can't remember what it was. It had whatever it was. There was a lot of blue involved. So she's like, "What do you think about?"
It was emotions for something.
When you think of this thing, and again, it's been like 3 or 4 years. So I can't remember.
We didn't write it down,
which is what you should do. Which is what you're supposed to do in your Book of Shadows. But when you think of this thing that you want, what images come to mind? What do you feel? And so she sent me around the house, and I just collected things, and I ended up with this collection of random stuff on a table
that represented her goal.
That represented what it was that I wanted. And it might have not meant anything to anybody else. And Jamie didn't comment on it. And then from there, it was the part of like, okay, so now we're going to focus on this and think about and meditate on or concentrate on or pray on if if that is a word that resonates with you, because it's
focused thought.
Focused thought
on an end result. Focused thought on an end result. That's spell work, that's meditation, that's manifestation, that's prayer.
Yeah.
Focused thought on an end result.
Okay. So how would you answer that question? Because I think it's your turn, right? I answered it first.
Yeah. So people who have fear around doing spells have been watching too many movies, honestly. When I try to talk to people about their fears, they think that like they're going to open a portal and a demon's going to pop through and like wreak havoc on their life. And I was like, okay, so you've seen Charmed. That's awesome. That's not what real life looks like. Here's what real life looks like. It's really fucking hard to make changes in your life. And if you're successful the first time of doing stuff, then we are in Hollywood. And I didn't know, and I'm an actor and I didn't know it. So I really try to break it down to be very, very simple. We do not have as much control over our lives as we think. So giving witchcraft spells or rituals even more control, thinking that they can just bust out a new universe or a magic demon or a dragon or something, I'm like, you're really not living in reality. It takes a lot of hard work to create changes in our life. It takes a lot of focused thought on the same thing to bring in a manifestation. So that fear is really only centered around things that you've seen on TV. If you start to realize that that's all fluff, then you can start saying like, oh yeah, of course. Like I'm not like, we're going to really, that's not real. Like watch movie magic, watch some of the shows that do behind the scenes and how they make these things happen. None of that happens in real life. Once we get over that and we realize that Hollywood has been feeding us stuff to be very dramatic, we can focus on the fact that how we actually create change in our life through spells is thoughts, intentions, and doing actions towards that goal. None of that is going to manifest some crazy stuff. And the only reason that you would create bad karma or something bad in your life is because you go out and you're a hateful person towards other people. And then I think karma will serve you up a big plate of, here you go. That's my own personal thought. So I've had that question so many times that like now I just have to say it very bluntly. You're never going to be that witch that's so powerful you open a portal to a demon that's going to come wreak havoc on your life. Like you can live in Hollywood all you want. You can think that those things are real, but that's not the way this world works. It's just not. And people can dispute this all day long. It takes real change and it takes dedication to the things that you want to do in order to create that change. Doing a spell one time and burning a candle and getting together some mundane things that literally have no purpose unless we put them together and tell it they have purpose is still only for us. It's so we can raise our vibration and carry a better version of ourselves out into the world. It's not about like TV magic. So I get kind of sassy with this one, you guys, because it's just only because squashing it, you know?
Well, only because so many people come into this thinking it's like, oh my gosh, if I do witchcraft, if I learn how to do a certain spell, I can have these changes in my life and make this great life that I want, or materialize this Prince Charming
in an instant. And
it doesn't work that way. If you're doing a spell, if you're doing a career spell because you want a new job and you only do the spell, and let's say you spend time meditating on it and doing those things, you still have to go out and look for the job. It's not just going to come through the door. You have to take action. So like Jamie said, you got to concentrate on it. You do have to think about it. And the one thing that I think you do have to do is keep the thoughts about, I'm never going to get the job I want. Why isn't this working out?
Be in control of your own mind.
You have to be in control of your own mind. And you keep that positive thought so that you draw that type of energy. You want that energy. You're drawing energy to you is what you're doing. You're drawing the energy of, if you want a new love, you're drawing that to you by the things that you think, and then consequently by the things that you're doing, because you go out and you're really friendly with people.
Mm-hmm. And you open yourself up to the experience.
So it's
which is the same thing for the negative result. If you believe that bad shit is going to happen to you and you go out into the world believing that and expecting it, the universe is going to show up for you either way. It's like, oh yeah, well, you've kind of been thinking about this car accident for like 6 months. So here you go. I served it up for you. Just saying, what we think about, we bring about.
That's true. So watch your thoughts.
Watch your thoughts.
Watch your thoughts. And your thoughts actually are, your thoughts are what either make you happy or unhappy, because
true.
You can think a thought like, I need a new job. But then once you go past that, it's like, I need a new job, and now you think all of these reasons why you can't get that new job. That's the part that makes you unhappy. So just like, I need a new job, or I want a new job, or I'm going to get a new job in this field, making this amount of money. That's what's going to happen. And then you keep doing that, and you're patient with it, because these things take time most of the time. I did.
Sometimes things happen quick, and you're like, "Damn, universe!"
Well, I don't know when I did the love spell, and then I met somebody like pretty quickly. I was like
a couple weeks.
I was like, that was
within that month.
But I did the love spell, and then I went out. I took my happy ass out, and I went dancing and stuff, and then I met somebody, and then I was like, "Oh shit, no, that's not what I want."
And then she was like, "Just kidding, universe. Thanks for the delivery."
So the universe served it up, and I was like, "Oh, I don't think I was ready yet."
It happens that way. Sometimes when we get what we ask for, we're like, "Oh wait, okay, no, actually, I was happier before. You can have it back, thanks." But it's all lessons, anyways. All right, I've been seeing Selena and Joelle in chat. I just want to say hi, you guys. I can't wait for all to get together and then hear about it later. Also, Crystal Wizard, I saw you come on. We just wanted to say hi. And we are done for the night because we're trying to keep this at 30 minutes. Now we're at 34 minutes. Thank you all for being here with us tonight as we react to some stuff online that is just,
And if you hear something crazy online and you want us to address it on our live, Witch Reacts, Send us a message.
Send us a message.
Email us. You can put it on.
Find us
YouTube.
on Facebook for it. YouTube, wherever you can find us. Post it. We read all of the comments everywhere.
We read everything. All right.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Have a great weekend.
All right, bye.
Bye.